A.
All right, boys and girls, this is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen, here on the case for truth and justice with the right information to help improve the situation. All right, the country is not stopping. It's not at a standstill. The money's going to keep flowing. But unfortunately, I don't know if you're going to get any or if I'm going to get any. It seems like it's going to go into the same holes that it's been going into, and those are not holes of necessary progress. Those are holes of maintenance. Of course, you got to maintain if you want to progress. Well, I'm in business. I understand that. But today we have a couple of guests. One of them is Dr. Corey Jackson, Assembly member, Assembly person representing the Moreno Valley area, Inland Empire. We also have Mr. DLO J, representing the Riverside County Black Chamber of Commerce, and they've been giving away money. Well, not giving it away, but they've been making arrangements for people to borrow money. And if you're in business, that's a maintenance step. It's not progress, but it's a maintenance step. It will help you step up. So we've got a couple of great conversations for you. One has to do with the fact that, I've been telling you all through September that was International Underground Railroad Month, mainly because America acknowledges it has a problem of hate. It has a problem of misappropriation of energies, both in letting people think crazy, because you can think what you want to think, you can kind of say what you want to say. That doesn't make it right just because it comes from your heart, just because you're sincere in your ignorance, just because you are authentic in your view, because there's other people at the intersections. This is a highway of life. We have intersections that we cross where we interact with each other, and we've got to be able to predict and plan and understand that what we do in those intersections affects each other, way past the intersection. So America has a hate problem. Well, we're better now. We're getting better. Originally, the hate problem was that if you didn't hate black folk, you could go to jail. If you were caught helping Harriet Tubman get a black person out from under the depressing position of enslavement, they could put you in jail, call you a witch, burn your ass, do a lot of things to you. Hate was required. But now we're moving into we've been moving into it, and as you move into it, that means you're still in it. As you try to move out of it, you're still in it. As we give you a vaccine for the flu, doesn't mean the flu is gone forever. It just means you're protected for a while. When I tell you what the weather report is like, it doesn't mean it's going to stay that way forever. It just means now, and maybe the prediction is going to be right. When you listen to the traffic report, that could change immediately. But you keep going because change is a part of what we do. Well, hopefully, as we keep on this highway of life here in the state of California, where we are leading not only the country, but apparently the world in many things, anti-hate. I guess if you stop hating people, that means you may start relating to people. If you stop hating people, I think it may mean that these intersections may get to be a little safer. When we see each other at the movies, when we see each other at the mall, when we see each other at church, when we see each other across the street. We have to know how to predict that conduct. Well, our assemblyman representing Moreno Valley, the Inland Empire, Mr. Corey Jackson, I keep calling him Mr. because I've been knowing him so long, but it's Dr. Corey Jackson. And it's really important to say that because it expresses the dedication that this young man has for not only representing people, but putting himself in a position that he can represent them from a position of knowledge, from a position of facts, from a physician too of emotion because he is a man, emotional person. I've known him for a while. I've seen him cry. Well, I didn't beat him that bad in the domino game, but good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Very well.
Good to see you, and I appreciate you spending your time here on Empire Talks Back. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I'd like for you to talk to us about your AB 1079. It is designed to not necessarily stop hate, but it is to show people that hate isn't approved of, and it's something that the state is willing to put money and energy against. We'll take this break and we'll come back and see what that solution looks, smells, and tastes like. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. Hey, make that quick run. Come right back and let's explore changing the world to make it better.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
That's Mr. Mo Lewis. Number one on Billboard, smooth jazz. Comes right from the Inland Empire. Typical. That's number one. We are number one. We just have to stand up and realize it. Mo will be performing at the Knights of Columbus for the holiday kickoff soiree. This is take place on November 18th at the Knights of Columbus on Western Avenue, right next to Cajon Boulevard, which is Route 66, the Route 66 Jazz Soiree. Don't miss it. We'll tell you more about it. It's going to be from 2 o'clock. That's when the cocktails start. And by 6 o'clock, 6:30, you can be headed your way somewhere else. But in the between time, you're going to hear some great world-class music, meet some very interesting people who are as interested in music as you are. Don't want to miss that part. We also want to remind you that you should join the Riverside County Black Chamber of Commerce. You can enjoy the many benefits of membership designed to support and accelerate your business. Make valuable contact with other professionals, expanding your resources and customers. Update your learning experience via the Chamber's low, no-cost seminars and workshops. Improve your social media impact. The Chamber is dedicated to supporting your unique business needs. Take your first step to the next level. Join the Riverside County Black Chamber of Commerce, 951-823-1, 951-823-0175. 951-823-0175. Ask about that business loan. They've got something that you will probably qualify. And you don't have to be a member of the chamber to qualify, or do you? I don't know. We'll talk to Mr. Jay Diallo in a little bit, and we'll find out exactly what those qualifications are. And I do believe that you're qualified. All right. Hate is no longer a desired factor here in America. Now, there was a time, Dr. Jackson, that you were required to hate black folk.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's some people who just want to spread that hate beyond black folk, but there's something about hate that is, I don't know, it can't be healthy for the hater. It certainly isn't healthy for the hated. It's not healthy for a country or group of people who are trying to work together to make progress.
Mm-hmm.
Why and what is AB 1079? What is it about, and why have you altered it?
Well, hate continues to be a powerful tool that continues to be used for political means. And one thing we know for sure is that hate and racism, it has been institutionalized in this country. Therefore, if we're really going to battle it in a significant way, we must institutionalize anti-racism, anti-hate, anti-xenophobism as well. And so AB 1079 basically says we're tired of always being on the defense. It's time for California as a system to be able to go on the offense and make sure that we have something that is inherent, that just automatically happens, as opposed to, oh, this group has been victimized. What are we going to do about it? Now we got to now we spend a whole year strategizing, and where are we going to find the money, right?
As if
All
hate
those
is brand
things.
new.
Exactly, and we do it over and over again as if it will never come back.
You know, it appears sometimes that we get used to hate.
Absolutely.
What is it, the situation where we accept the oppressor. As a matter of fact, we start taking the side of the oppressor because it's the safest thing to do. The attraction for why, well, it's like the spouse, the person that's abused. They don't want to tell. They're embarrassed to tell. They're afraid to tell. How do we address all of this? What kind of solution is this with hate? Because it revolves, it evolves. People have to start all over again. It's a constant message that has to be there because I guess hate is taught at a young age. It's not something we're born with, but it's something that can seep into our existence if we don't stop it, like bad manners.
Absolutely. What we see right now, hate being used is in order to create boogeymen. There's someone out there, there's a group out there who is out for your job. There's a group out there who's out for your safety. And if we don't band together against them, right, then we will lose. Our children are at risk. Our financial status is at risk. And so we know that it's also narrative. And so AB 1079 says that, number one, we know that racism is a public health crisis. And so the public health department will be empowered to go into communities who have had acts of hate to begin to educate, train, and empower community organizations, community leaders to be able to mobilize against that and have some sense of self-determination. And then it also empowers the Department of Civil Rights to be able to continue to do a media campaign that counters the hateful rhetoric and the lies against the people who are being victimized. And it is something that happens on an annual basis where every time the state of hate comes out from the Department of Justice, campaigns will be mobilized against those who are on those lists, on that list. And of course, since the very inception of the very first state of hate in California, African Americans have always been at the top.
Well, I think we are the ones, the learning, the example that everybody learns from. If you want to learn how to hate, just go back and see how
They perfected the
world
process on us.
Yeah, and it's a racial thing, it's a color thing, it's a white supremacy. Quite frankly, it seems to be.
Absolutely.
Okay, so with that, media has been extremely important in keeping that banner of hate alive. As a matter of fact, I'm one who states that the first newspapers were there to help chase down escaped enslaved people. Mm-hmm. And there was definitely advertising money and everything else put together to boogeyman black folk and make it announcement on top of announcement that if you were white, you had the right to affect the lives of any black people around you.
Yep.
You could report them. You can. So build up, help create the strongest nation on the planet. There was a credit, not called credit or credit given, but in the world of how we do things now, the labor of black folks was credit. It was upfront participation in this investing in America. Somehow we haven't turned the page in terms of paying back for this investment, mainly because, well, as we look at the Berkeley study on how white people feel about black people and reparations, and some black people who feel the same way about black people and reparations, we ain't worth it. We haven't done anything to make ourselves worth it. We are worthy of the hate. And we've got people now pressing for the pre-Harriet Tubman days. Education, you are talking about educating people with the information so that they can absorb some type of worthiness in other people, black folks in particular,
Absolutely.
LGBT people in particular. But we've got people who are running for president, people who used to be president, who are out here saying that, well, the history needs to be forgotten. We need to ignore that and start all over again with just the attitude that everybody's got what they got now, got it fair and square, and everybody doesn't have anything. They should have worked harder.
No, absolutely. And I think that with these campaigns in terms of, we're not just talking about newspapers and TVs, we're talking about social media to making sure that there's messaging directed to the next generation, right? And how they consume information. But I think it's also an opportunity to set the moral standard as well, and to let people know that, yes, when we do things, we need to atone for those. And some of us have benefited from that, and it's time for us to now atone for the things that we may not have done personally, but certainly we benefit from them today. I mean, how many institutions in California are there who've benefited from slavery and those investments that were made, right?
Well, and there's a certain benefit lingering for people who are not necessarily white supremacists, but they are white. And, you know, they would like to see fairness take place, but if it doesn't, they're still white. So the level of dedication to fairness is one that I think we have a right to be a little skeptical about in terms of, you know, how does this coalition really work? Well, we've got people like Dr. Jackson. He's gotten elected. He's an intellectual giant. He can go up there to Sacramento and write these laws, and everything is going to change. But I noticed one critical thing about your 1079. It needs to be appropriated. It's one thing to create the route, you know, and say, you know, we built this wonderful highway, but we didn't have the grand opening to let people drive the highway because, well, we don't have any money to operate. We don't have any money to patrol that highway. We haven't actually put any money in the deal. We've just allowed Dr. Jackson's marvelous imagination to describe what could take place. So,
Well,
you know, what's the potential of
obviously,
this stuff getting paid for?
I mean, number one, it's very likely. Obviously, I was struck with the circumstance where, you know, the governor and everyone had this narrative of we're in tough budget times, and so I created a bill that says, well, don't worry about it's tough budget times. We'll worry about that later. Let's get the framework done, let the institutions prepare for it, and then we make sure that it's funded. So, of course, it's on the governor's desk right now, and if the governor signs it, then we get right to work to making sure that it's in the budget so that we can supercharge what we know is going to be a very tough election cycle full of hate, full of violence, and and in perpetuity being able to making sure that future generations don't have to come back to the square one again and say, what are we going to do about this, right?
At least in this aspect of it, we've talked about promoting it, advertising and things of that sort. as you listed the types of advertising that's going to be necessary or that you're going to want to put this money in, were you being a visionary as you looked at the life and potential life of print, of newspapers? Because this looks like something that may happen in 2025. And I note that you do not mention newspapers as part of the promotion or advertising group. Are you predicting the total demise of newspapers, or did you just forget us?
Definitely did not forget you all. I mean, there's no doubt that there is an opportunity for it not to just be on traditional media, but newspapers as well.
Let me let you hang on for a second. We're going to take a short break. I was just reminded that despite the demise of newspaper potential, I do need to try to make some money with a commercial.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take the short break. We'll be right back. This is Empire Talks Back. We're talking to Dr. Corey Jackson, Assembly member representing Moreno Valley, and any and everybody else who's got a big heart who wants to see the world be a better place. Corey is a real friend. I've been knowing this young man since he was a young man.
Before this gray hair.
He's got one gray hair, and he's bragging about it. He got it twisted around like it's 3 or 4. One gray hair. All right, we'll be right back.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
Listen, you guys are going to get hungry today, and you're going to be watching football, and you're going to be sitting around wondering, wow, did you bring something? Oh, that was your friend who came over for the game, but snack time? No, he didn't bring any. And you figured since you invited everybody over for the game, they were going to bring snacks, so you didn't bring any. Well, I have a solution. It's called Rock's Louisiana Fried Chicken and Seafood. That restaurant specializes in seafood and southern cooking. And if you're in the mood for some seafood, their most popular options include crab cakes, fresh fish, oysters, shrimp, and po' boy sandwiches. If you want to savor some delicious southern food, the menu features a variety of flavorful favorites, offering jambalaya, slow-cooked gumbo, with rice, and a hearty oxtail dish. Man, with rice and gravy. They also feature crispy fried chicken, greens, mac and cheese, and more. Man, your football team and your football game can really be interesting. It could be as interesting as I was watching the game last night. It was Tuskegee against Florida A&M, and they had more people in the parking lot having a good time than they had in the stands watching the football game. And that's what could be taking place at your house if you go on and call Rock's Louisiana Fried Chicken and Seafood for your football game today. 909-275-3360. 909-275-3360. Call them. Tell Rock Wallace said you'd give him a free wing. Well, he may or he may not, but it'd be good for you to give it a whirl. If you spend enough money, he'll give you a free wing. If he don't give you a free wing, call me, I'll buy the wing. We're going to work it out. I'm sitting here with the assembly person. I could not possibly be lying.
I'm on my way to get my wing right now.
Just tell him Wallace said it, and we'll get it out, and I'll work it out with him. No problem. I promise. Go by and ask for a free wing. Wow, I just put myself in it.
Yeah.
Nothing like it. Nothing like being in the middle of it.
There goes that mortgage payment.
Well, listen, I'll be able to talk to Mr. DLO in a few minutes to get this loan. So we'll be able to handle all of that. So, okay, Corey, you were explaining.
Yes, you were
about
asking
the
about
newspapers
and
and why and how you chose those particular mediums to say needed to be part of the package to advertise and promote the anti-hate, the idea that reporting hate when you see it, and things of that sort. Because the state put a lot of money in a Stop the Hate program this year, and that money hit the table and was able to effectively, I think, stop or bring a lot of attention to hate movements that were taking place in the Asian community.
No, absolutely. But what this allows us to do is that depending on, and what's unique about this is that depending on the percentage of hate crimes that happens within the state in any particular year, is the percentage of advertisement and the percentage of media that goes out on any particular group as well, so that it is proportional to the type of hate that's going on.
The message.
Exactly. Now, what's great about this also is that this does not forget about traditional media, but it basically says we need to go through all media segments so that we can make sure that we're hitting all the different populations and age groups that are happening as well.
Well, all of my fellow publishers would like that all to also to include newspapers.
I will specifically make sure
because it stands out. It just stands out that as I read through it, of course, being a newspaper publisher, as I read through the list of potential advertisers, I'm like, where's the newspaper?
The actual bill language didn't say newspapers.
Is that
right?
Absolutely.
I don't know why no one caught that for me.
I don't either, but maybe, I don't know, we'll figure that part out.
We're going to get that right.
Yeah,
we're going to get that right.
Part right. Now, the other aspect of it is we're talking about the message being directed at solving the plight of the potential victim. Okay, if we've had 500 hate crimes in this community and 700 in this community, we want to be able to supply a message that says, don't hate people with crooked toes. Dude, I got a crooked toe. Don't hate people with this. But it doesn't say what medium. It says the media, but it doesn't say that this media in San Francisco that is going to promote anti-hate about something that's taking place in San Bernardino. We need to be able to talk about the local media that is going to be able to target not only the people who perpetuate the crime, but those people who are victims of the crime so they can report the crime. That says local media in general, because wherever it happened, it's going to be local to some place.
Absolutely.
And those people need to know about it, both in terms of those who want to effectively stop hate and those who want to perpetuate hate. That message needs to be certainly delivered there. And I know that that's your intention. I know who you are.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think we have to be intentional about this and not just assume things are going to happen.
That's right.
And one of the things, I had the benefit of having breakfast a few months ago with former Speaker Willie Brown, and told me that don't just be happy that the bill passed. Now work through the implementation.
Yes.
Stay on top of it.
Yes.
And so if the governor signs this bill, then that's what we're going to have to be about the business of doing, where we're actually going to bring in people to talk with the Department of Civil Rights to say, let's start working on the strategic plan. Let's start working on making sure that there are no gaps that we're already thinking about that has traditionally happened over time. We've got to prevent that from happening at this time.
The Willie Brown story, the idea of going to a conference with the idea that you have a certain number of delegates in your pocket could make you feel a little comfortable. And to go there and find out that somebody is taking your delegates, and Willie Brown experienced that, and he dealt with that, and he dealt with that with such power and such efficiency that his name will echo forever across the halls of, I think, any place where we are gathering
Some
people.
of the most historic moments.
Yeah, and to remember that just because you write the bill doesn't mean it will get appropriated, and if it does get appropriated, it doesn't mean that it would be appropriated correctly. So following through is something that at every level that we've got to figure out how to do.
Absolutely. And this is actually my attempt to, as you remember, during the summer of George Floyd, many counties and municipalities declared racism a public health crisis. And then when these boards gave it to their superintendents and city managers, they're like, what the hell are we doing? What going to
Right.
do with this? We have no clue what
No
to
clue.
do. So this is me following up with that and saying, hey, well, now we're going to provide a blueprint of what you should be doing.
Now that template, as we make it available,
Mm-hmm.
now we're not Microsoft, we're not Tesla, we don't have that kind of money to go across the country, but it is a template that needs to be moved across the country. What are the plans in that direction?
Well, I got this idea from, actually, I was thinking about the Federal Ad Council and the historic historic campaigns they did, right? This is your brain on drugs, right? Love is love. We remember these things ingrained that the Ad Council did. I said, California needs to have its own version of that. And so I'm hoping that not only do they see what California is doing, but hopefully we can implement that also in other states through other legislatures. And that's what usually happens. California is is probably the most influential legislature because the type of innovation that comes from our policies, and other legislators in other states begin to take those ideas
Don't be so shy.
and implement them
Don't
away.
be so shy. The world starts in California.
Ah.
What are they talking about? We don't have to explain why. The California is the spot.
We
No,
just
if you've, I know a lot of people who lived in California and left, and they all came back. Every one of them. And so I understand how others could be upset or jealous about California. I'm not here to hold it over your head. I'm here to say welcome.
Mm-hmm.
And as I note that we have people who are sending migrants to us, sending people, they at first sent them and announced that they were sending them so that they could see how, but when we absorb them so nicely and absorb them so efficiently, now they're trying to surprise us with them. They want to send 3 or 4 buses and don't let you
They're
know.
trying to
that they're
create
coming.
chaos,
Yeah.
right? But I think
Love kind of deals with chaos. And as long as we've got people who are willing to not be the person who says, not in my backyard, not in my house, not my problem, as long as we have people who are willing to share, willing to volunteer, willing to step out and be different, then we are really California. And we can make it better for ourselves and for other people. Dr. Jackson, you have a program coming up next Saturday, State of the Black IE?
absolutely.
You got a lot of nerve. What is that all about?
I have always had a passion about making sure or understanding what solidarity can do in terms of building power, in terms of moving systems. And one of the things we've always been lacking is an annual event where we come to absorb the real data about our people, find out where we all fit in that, and helping to solve the most critical issues, and being able to develop a singular vision as a people. And so this is my contribution to the community. In the spirit of Ubuntu, really, to really just say that I'm a part of this village, I have a responsibility, and being in this position allows me to have greater resources, and I need to make sure that part of those resources are for the uplifting and self-determination of my people.
We're going to give you a head start on the State of Black IE. I want to introduce Mr. Jay Diallo. He is representing a company that gives money away. No.
I will not be giving money away at this event on next Saturday.
No, and that's the other thing about government. They sound like they give money away even with the appropriations, but they don't. First Community Capital. You have been working, Jay, with Riverside County Black Chamber of Commerce. You have been able to, I guess, analyze a certain issue of what's going on with the State of Black IE, and you're doing something about it financially. Give us an idea of what your First Community Capital is all about and how you see the state of Black IE and what you're doing about it.
Absolutely. Is this on? Thank you very much, Mr. Wallace. Again, I'm representing two organizations, First Community Capital and Riverside County Black Chamber of Commerce. Now, what First Community Capital is, it's a micro-lending institution certified by the Department of Treasury under Community Development Financial Institution. And we are one of the few CDFI in IE. There's one in Ontario. So,
But we only have one on the radio with us right now, so that's all
right.
we're going to worry about.
So what we focus on is trying to create economic development through entrepreneurship.
Community economic development through entrepreneurship.
Through entrepreneurship. One of the reasons that we see so many things that's happening is that we focus on community development institutions, but we do not focus on our small businesses in our area, in an IE area. And a lot of our small businesses, they are underserved population, whether Black or brown individuals, low-income individuals, and sometimes moderate-income individuals.
Jay, when we talk about small businesses, the general thought is, you know, for some people, we say small business, we may be talking about the barbershop, we may be talking about a restaurant.
Right.
But when the government talks about small business, how big can that small business be?
A definition of small business under SBA is company that has up to 500 employees.
Now,
that's considered small business for them. But when we talk about small business, we talk about micro businesses, which is companies or individuals or businesses that have self-employed up to 25 employees.
Up to 25.
Correct.
Very good.
That's
you
our
don't have to
definition.
fire that 26 guy to come and talk to Jay, however, but you do want to know that this is for small, really small businesses.
Correct.
Micro small.
Okay.
Business. And what kind of money are you, well, not just that, what kind of businesses have you been able to approach and provide lending for, and just to give a little bit of a...
Absolutely. So we support a range of small businesses, micro businesses, from barbershop to salons to small restaurants to truck drivers to people who just wants to have their street vendors who wants to buy materials and inventory so they can go and buy and sell their stuff on the street. Food vendors are one of the examples that we support. Now we are looking into supporting small minority-owned businesses that deal with the climate issues, which is providing solar panel for individuals or low-income families that want to retrofit their home so they can have their light bill come down.
So that's a different kind of loan. That's a loan to a home, or is that a loan that goes to the contractor for putting solar up?
So it could go both. It could be a loan that goes to a contractor that's minority-owned business contractor that will be able to buy some of the materials ahead of time at low cost, so they will be able to run their business.
What's the smallest business that you've been able to provide a loan for? How many people in that business?
So usually a lot of our small businesses is between, self-employed 1 person to 5 people businesses.
Okay. Now that's encouraging. Now a lot of people who were eating breakfast, kind of dropped that fork and said, hey, that might include me. Okay.
Absolutely. That's so critical because we intentionally did that because these are the people that bank will not help them because they're too small for the banks. However, they are victimized by the predatory lenders in our community, where they go to the auto title loans and they give them $2,500 at 585% interest rate.
Yeah, that's really being interested, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So our purpose really is to come in place and be able to support businesses that are considered unbankable and those who are potentially going to be victimized by the predatory lenders.
So what is a person that opens their books up or to deal with you? What do they have to provide? I mean, do they have to give you their firstborn, or do you take the fifth or sixth born?
Absolutely. So, our process is pretty simple and easy and straightforward, right? Our loan range is from $500 up to $25,000. Sometimes we can move up to $50,000 depending on the size and the type of businesses. But we're trying to focus really on the smaller scale businesses between $500 up to $25,000. Now, between 500 up to 2,500, we consider as a consumer lending, which means that if we have a family that comes in and says, hey, Jay, I cannot pay my rent this month, or I have a medical bill that I really cannot pay, or I'm running a small printing shop that I want to buy an equipment, which a printer could be $600 to $800. I don't have that kind of money to do that. We take them, we go through the process. Now, with that particular type of loan, all you need to prove to show us that it's a repayment ability, to show us that you actually have a job, that the job generates income. And the income that comes out of it, you will be able to pay your loan back. That's pretty simple, this repayment. However, if a small business from a startups to an existing business up to $25,000, we require 2 years of your tax returns, your personal tax returns. Now, we learned a lot about small businesses. Some of them don't even file their tax return. That's where we come in. We go, you know what? You need to file your personal tax return. This is how you're going to do it. We have the resources that we're going to help you do this at no cost to you.
Now, your relationship with
Riverside County Black Chamber of Commerce, absolutely. It's a very symbiotic relationship where we provide the lending portion of it, giving loans to small businesses. That's the easiest part to do that. However, the training, providing the technical assistance, education, and the resources for the small businesses, that's one of the very hardest parts to do. Part of the reason is because when a small business wants to start their entity like an LLC or a simple thing, get their EIN, there are organizations that will charge you a lot of money to do that.
Yeah,
however, with the relationship,
we'll set up a special phone call for you guys who want to know what is a LLC, what is an EIN, because
absolutely, yeah.
I know plenty of people who started businesses and were successful to a certain point and had no idea what all of that meant.
Absolutely.
And paying taxes certainly wasn't wasn't something that they were concerned about, because they see big guys like former presidents that say, well, not paying taxes is the way to go. You have to figure it out, but you can do it that way. So technical support, educating business people beyond their little spirited ability to actually figure out how to make $1 out of 15 cents. You're able to show them how to do it and maintain their legal status, maintain their status with the various agencies and various government entities that are required to report to.
Not only that, because we are a nonprofit, so sometimes we get funding in order to provide those services at no cost to those small businesses, which is sometimes a small business, $500, $600 is a lot of money for them, as a savings. So yes, we are able to do that. That's why it's so critical as a CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution. We are a nonprofit that's supported by some federal level, at the federal level, at the community level, at the foundation level. Now, I'm just gonna share something really, really critical, which came out of the IE with Loma Linda University Health. Loma Linda University Health equate financial health with mental health.
Okay.
What they saw is that they service a lot of low-income family that comes to the hospital. Some of them, they don't have health insurance. Some of them, because of they don't have money, the type of food that they eat causes some of the diseases that they have. So Loma Linda connected with us, First Community Capital, and said, Jay, we want you to help us figure out how can we close the wealth gap so we can create an equitable health system within our underserved low-income family. And my advice to them was that let's just create a loan pool that's gonna support small businesses, the type of people that you deal with, so that when they're able to run their business, they can now have enough financial backing and support to afford to buy the health insurance, to afford to take their kids to hospital, to afford to pay their medical bills.
This is why you see entrepreneurship as a key ingredient in developing the community.
Absolutely.
And bringing people into the mainstream of the economic flow. That's very good. What other, as we see, Dr. Jackson here, we see economics is certainly an important part of the state of Black IE.
Correct.
Do you see a big gap in terms of access to money, in terms of the number of businesses that want to access money and can do it. How many businesses have you been able to support as a result of your relationship with the chamber?
Yeah, so talking about a big gap in terms of access to capital to underserved and minority-owned small businesses, that's an understatement, because a lot of the minority, underserved, the people that we serve, nobody will give them a loan, especially in the banking world, let alone in other financial institutions. That's why they're being victimized by the predatory lenders. Now, with Riverside County Black Chamber of Commerce and First Community Capital, we serve about 250, 300 businesses every year, providing them with technical assistance. That includes financial literacy, credit education, business plan. Now, because of some of the funding that we receive from other organizations and foundations and at the federal level, we've been able to support about 150 small businesses that will never see the light of the day of getting funding. And I'm talking about small businesses that we give $5,000 loan to, and now they hire 1 or 2 people.
Jay, what I'd like for you to do is pick up a couple of those guys and let's bring them in and let's talk to them and see how they've actually been affected. And if they need more money and if there's other things that they need. But I'd like to get them in so they can be a testimony for what you guys are doing. Dr. Jackson, in terms of your State of Black IE, tell us about what you expect to have happen, who should be there, who, and how we can participate.
Sure. Unfortunately, in terms of participating, if you haven't registered already, we are capped out. We'll have over 350 people who've already RSVP'd. But the segment goes is that we're going to start off with the data. So UCR is going to be coming with the most up-to-date data in terms of population, in terms of economic levels, educational attainment, criminal justice participation, education, all of those things, so that we can start with, let's all make sure we have an understanding on where we are.
Basic facts
exactly.
To start with. Okay.
And then I'll be talking about more about how do we turn this data into an opportunity where we can actually create some real Black political power, right? Starting off with, do we even know who we are? Because if we don't know who we are, we can't really connect in the way we need to. And then how do we begin to create programs and serve people? And if we can serve people, we can organize people. And if we can organize people, right, we can actually create an agenda together. And then how do we create more Black institutions? How do we own our own land? Mm-hmm. How do we create organizations that will last 50, 60, 100 years, right, past us? And then we will actually have the chair of the California Reparations Task Force to talk about the reparations recommendations, task force recommendations, and talk about what we're looking forward to being able to introduce next year as a legislative package. Then we're going to talk about Black infant mortality rates, right? We can't grow together as a community if our children are dying before they even be able to become part of the community, right? And then, of course, then we will have the author of the 1619 Project come, where she will talk about, number one, what the 1619 Project is, how does it relate to the state of what's going on today in America, right? And hopefully create a real inspirational moment for us to say, hey, we got to be about this business as a whole different way. We got to take this to a whole nother level.
As you look at the 1619 Project and the AB 1079 and all the things in between, that story that is so obvious to most of anyone who's intellectually involved, how it's being simplified and denied like Ron DeSantis in Florida now. And he actually, I don't think, knows what he's talking about in terms of the devastation. I think he sincerely thinks that ignorance is blissful for people. I certainly understand that our Jewish Defense League people totally disagree. And as we look at the two, I guess, ranges of concern, the Jewish Defense League and to talk about anything in terms of the Holocaust and deny that, there's a favor there. I mean, but in terms of enslavement, it seems to be, well, no, we want to forget that. But everybody that is in favor or supporting Israel says, no, we never want to forget the Holocaust, never again. But we find some of those same people are saying, well, we don't need to be so edgy about slavery.
Mm-hmm. And the difference is power. The difference is, do you have the institutions to create the type of wealth to hold elected officials accountable? And that's what the difference is, and which is why we need things like microlending and others, so that we can create more economic power to be able to use, to be able to push our own agendas, so that it is now at your risk politically to start challenging, did racism exist, and did we just do them a favor and they were able to create their own, build their own skills because we provided them with slavery.
We
right?
see so much love for African American culture, black culture, in terms of how the world absorbs it, duplicates it, reconstructs it to make it work for them. So we can say, I remember when hip hop rap started, black folk were the first one to say, no, we need to stop that. We don't want our kids doing that. Stop doing that. But now the world's absorbed it. We can't hear a commercial without rap being in the background. We can't see people wearing their clothes without some parts of their underwear showing 9 times out of 10. The styling, the culture is easily absorbed by everybody else, but they don't seem to like the people. And I think it's a program of marketing and branding. I think that the newspapers initially branded black folk as being so despicable because you have to be despised in order to be successfully hated. You have to be dehumanized in order to be successfully hated. But we've got marketing abilities now that make you eat something so hot that you know it's going to make you throw up and maybe die if you eat too much of it. But they got people
that it's a popular thing
that'll
to do.
It. Yes, yes. So I'm encouraged by the ability to communicate. I'm as disappointed as I am about how our printed newspapers are suffering and having to fight. I'm pleased by the fact that you don't have to be super rich to be a publisher now. You can become an influencer and become super rich as a result of the messages that you were given. Now I just need people to give good messages as opposed to pulling down their pants and things of that sort to catch attention and clicks. But we know that it can happen, and it's very encouraging. And I'm encouraged now, as I was when I first met you, when you were 17, 18, 19, a little kid with not even one gray hair, who was so enthused about life's potential that he continued to work with it. And I'm proud to say I know you. I'm proud to say that you are approachable, and whatever we can do to support you, Dr. Jackson, we will continue to do that.
I appreciate it,
Very
and
good.
I appreciate the journey.
Okay, we got to get out of here. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. We're going to see you next week under 2 circumstances. 1, if the good Lord is willing. 2, if the creek don't rise. Thank you for spending your time with us. God bless you.
KCAA Loma Linda.